Roman-occupied Palestine, 32 AD. The white walls are lit by sunlight that spills in through the narrow open windows. 3 women, the mother, Martha, and Mary, squat on the floor performing various tasks. The mother is sewing a prayer shawl, Martha is rolling flat pieces of dough, and Mary is sorting and cleaning lentils from one basket to another. They work silently, occasionally shooing away a fly with their hands. At the back of the room, steps lead up to a doorway onto the flat open roof of the house. A sudden burst of male laughter comes from there. The women look at each other and smile. They continue working. There's another burst of laughter.
He's happy.
They're excited. Who can blame them? In 2 hours they'll be in Jerusalem. Your son is in great form. It's a joy to have him in our house.
Why can't we share his company while he is here?
Household duties don't perform themselves, Mary. Join the man if you wish. I take over your task when I finish this lot. There aren't many left.
We may never see him again.
Do we want to hear that kind of gloomy talk on such a day as this? I don't think so. Go sit with him now, if you feel you must.
That careless laughter would end if I did. They resent me. Not him, of course, but the others. Why is she here? The whore.
Are you too sensitive, Mary? All of that has been forgiven and forgotten.
By him, perhaps. Not them. Who?
Oh, it's nothing, Mother. Please, don't start, Mary.
Whore is just another excuse for their disdain. Being a woman is sin enough for them. They treat us as lepers. Segregated in the synagogue, barred from the learning of the Torah, not even allowed to pronounce blessing over our meal in our own homes. We slave our gods while they lays and disputes. The birth of a song is greeted with celebration. Commiserations for a daughter. We're just submissive men-pleasers, dowry-getters, shifted from one family prison to another. The commandments even sanction our cattle status. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's ox, or ass, or wife. How do we tolerate it?
Oh, Mary, patience has always been our motto. The Lord will change everything. Soon there will be equality. Please let me say again what an honor is to have the mother of the Messiah under our roof. Excuse me asking, I don't know whether I should, but such a tale we've heard of his conception. Is it true that angel appeared to you?
That's right.
Oh, it must have been awesome, right? How did he look?
Beautiful.
And he announced that you were buried to son of the God. I think I would have fainted or even died. How did you feel?
Excited. Leave it, Martha. How can you ask such questions?
I'm only curious. Who wouldn't be? It's the Lord we're talking about, his birth, his being, his destiny.
The Lord, did you say? This must be the right place. Will you be referring to the prophet, Jesus of Nazareth, also known to his followers and him as the Lord?
Welcome, stranger. Yes, we were talking of him, our master.
Don't sit down, they haven't invited you in yet. So.
But what do you want? Can we help?
I want to see the Lord.
Is he expecting you?
I doubt it, but he knows me. Tell him it's blind Bartimaeus from Jericho.
Is it important? You're supposed to be here in secret. How did you find his address?
Seek, and ye shall find. He said that, and I did.
I'll tell him you're here.
Forgive Mary's excitable tongue, Mother. It was always her way. Even as a girl. Father used to whip her for it. That's why she ran away. We hadn't seen her for ages when suddenly, about 3 months ago, your son and his
disciples
appeared in Bethany, bringing Mary with them. She said she's safe for her life, how happy Lazarus and I were to have her home. Father was dead, so Mary decided to stay. Your son is the only man she respects. It's not difficult to understand why. I became an immediate convert when he told us of his plan of God's kingdom. My brother too, he's completely changed our lives. At last we have something real to hope for. It's amazing the effect he has on people. Our friend and neighbor Judas even became one of his disciples.
Mary and Judas. Sorry, let's go back then. What a good idea is when you went off, take the script, give it to, just go back on that bit. Give him the script when you go off. And when he comes on, you can go, you here, and you can do stand-up reading from here, and the women will lead. But just go back to that, coming back in again. So we'll take the script, I will. And Mary comes with you, and then you just go you again.
You? Well, speak of the devil. It isn't old Judas.
What do you want?
I want a word with this Lord of yours. I want a word with this Lord of yours.
He's not available.
I'm prepared to wait.
If you will excuse us, ladies, I'd like a word with this man in the front.
Oh, come on, mother, we can work downstairs earlier.
See me later.
See me later, so that to Mary, you go, all women go, Give the script to Jesus next.
Yep. What's all this about, Bartimaeus? Why aren't you at home in Jericho?
It's the worker I wish to speak to, not you.
He's busy. Can't be disturbed. I'll pass on any message you might care to leave.
Well, how about asking if he kindly prefer another of his amazing miracle and make me blind again?
What are you trying to say? Explain yourself.
I've lost my role in life. Everyone knew me as a blind Bartimaeus. That's who I was. I was comfortable with it. It wasn't such a bad night, being at the city gate, my fellow unfortunate, quite sociable with the gossip. And none of them ever went hungry. Everything changed after the miracle. People say I ought to get a proper job.
Quite right. You should.
That's all very well for you to say, but what can I do? I'm naturally lazy and too learn a trade.
How about acting? You're good at that.
What is my role? I inherited it from my father. I was still playing it arm when I learned the knife of rolling back my eyeballs so that the only way showed. Practice makes perfect, and I became an expert. I was making a fairly decent living until you came along.
And put a stop to your dishonesty.
You blackmailed me. You bribed me. Is that honest?
You should have a look around more carefully when you step into that olive grove to count your ill-gotten alms.
You're spying on me.
I was asleep. You stepped on a branch and woke me. I recognized you. One of the coins you were counting had come from my own pitying purse.
And then you blackmailed me.
All I did was ask you to inform people that Messiah was here.
And if I didn't, you'd tell everyone in Jericho that I wasn't funny.
But you believe in the kingdom of heaven, don't you? You were full of enthusiasm when I told you about it.
Oh yes. All this talk of love and brotherhood and worldwide sharing and equality sounds very fine. So when is this going to happen? Why are we waiting? Why is the same old dog word? And the only way to put food in our belly is money. Give me some.
I'm sure the woman will give you something to eat as you leave.
I meant money. I want money. Give me some and I denounce you Lord as a fraud.
This is a much better example of blackmail. But it wouldn't be very clever, would it, Bartimaeus? Because if you did that, you'd be announcing that you are a fake yourself and have been all your life. You'd find yourself in a much dire straits than you are now.
It's better than I found.
Don't blame the master in your situation, Bartimaeus. The miracle was my idea, not his. We were on a preaching tour and Jericho was the last stop. We'd heard stories about other self-proclaimed messiahs gaining followers, healing the sick, and casting out demons, and so on. Our master's popularity was definitely on the up, but I thought it could be with a boost, and as we approached Jericho, I suddenly remembered you'd be there banging at the gate, a perfect instant miracle waiting to happen. I dashed ahead to tell you what to do, then hurried back to rejoin the Lord, Master. to rejoin the Master. I told him to touch the eyes of a blind beggar who cried out to him as we entered the city.
Oh, that damn day. When I did as you bade. The crowd preferred his name as we approached, and I stood shouting, Jesus, the son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. Over and over until people got angry, telling me to shut up. But suddenly they go quiet and I left for what to your Lord. He asked what I was, and I said, I want to see. He rubbed my eyelid with his finger and told me to wash them in the water of a handicapped proof. I do it, abracadabra, I can see.
A performance worthy of laws. The crowd went wild, surging forward and demanding their own miracles. We had to flee the city for fear of being mocked. Thanks to you, Bartimaeus, the Master's name became famous in the Jericho.
I was famous myself for a while. Though hospitality opened it wide. Food, friend, booze, toilet eye in the street. As the blind beggar of Galilean prophet cured. It didn't last long. After a few days, they started to say I was greedy. Pharisees are being fired from the synagogue, saying Master was the Messiah. They even threatened to have me stoned for blasphemy. But the farthest I went was when I went back to my old place at the gate. Those treacherous malingerers have turned their backs on me. They say I have no excuse to beg anymore, just know I'm grinding poverty like everybody else, so no special handicap. You're my only hope, I'm desperate. Give me some money for God's sake.
All right, Bartimaeus, you've convinced me you are me of your plight, but this is the last time. We survive on the charity of others ourselves, and we've been saving to buy a lamb for the Passover supper. Here, take this. It's not much, but it's all we can spare.
Peters! How long do you expect me to survive on this? More!
Sorry, but that's it. We'll be in Jerusalem for Passover. Your expectations are high. This could be climax of the Master's mission and actual establishment of the kingdom of God.
Well, hallelujah. You better get a move on establishing it. Otherwise I might just be forced to have a relapse and go blind again. That wouldn't look very good for him, would it? Miracle meant to last.
Well, Bartimaeus, try to be good. And don't come back.
Yes, you go, God. Lazarus, give that script to... Okay, we've got... So you're coming in with Lazarus at the back, yeah.
And
Bartimaeus, off.
Yeah.
This is whatever.
Bartimaeus goes out. Judas fingers the few coins left in the porcelain and looks for it. Mary enters.
Sorry.
Didn't I tell you the Master was not to be disturbed? No one is supposed to know he's here.
Oh, all of Bethany knows. How could this visit be kept secret after the sensation of his last? The villagers are being discreet, but they're planning to give him a big send-off today. Anyway, that old guy coming here without asking, demanding to see the Master. I thought we should vet him first.
You did right. The Master be protected from the needle's disturbance, especially at this moment in a time. Jerusalem awaits.
Do you really think he's ready for it?
Without a doubt. Look how famous he's become since your brother's resurrection, for which I can't thank you enough, by the way. You and Martha performed brilliantly.
The crying was exhausting, but are you sure it was worthwhile?
Absolutely. Important people sat up and took notice. We made contacts in Jerusalem. You know where we are staying for Passover? At the house of Joseph of Arimathea. He is of one of the biggest cats in the town. I tell you, people are going to know who the Master when we enter into Jerusalem.
I hope you're right.
Of course I'm right. And if they don't, we are going to make them know it. Stay down on the front step, Mary. Don't let anyone else in. The Master of lives, okay?
Understood.
Something happens to Judas.
It's you.
Judas.
No, Lord, I insist. You are our guest. It's a shame.
Go, Mary. Don't be restricted, Andrew.
Nonsense, Lazarus. We have relied too long by your charity. Judas, go out and buy a couple of flagons of wine. We almost drunk Lazarus out of house and hall.
Please, Lord, let me pay for the wine.
After all your favors, Lazarus, it's time we did a little in return. Go, Judas. Don't just stand here. Get the bag. This is a special day.
I'm afraid we are financially embarrassed, Master.
Oh, surely we have enough for some wine.
I'm afraid not. I gave the money to the beggar. He just left. It was blind Bartimaeus from Jericho, the man you cured.
Oh, him. Did you just tell you about that miracle, Lazarus?
No, Lord.
Another of his cunning brainwaves. They were both Judas' ideas, you know, these miracles. I had nothing to do but perform them. Besides for blind Bartimaeus and restoring alive to be or dead, you, Lazarus. That really was a stroke of genius.
It was, wasn't it? Amazing. Where did you get the idea, Judas?
A woman we meet in Samaria, a dabbler in folk medicine. She showed me some of the powders and potions she made. One she described sounded just the kind of drug I was looking for. You know what I mean, Lazarus. You took it.
I didn't know who or where I was when I woke. Everything was black and silent. Then I realized I'm in the tomb. I could still taste the drug on my tongue. I remembered why. Your plan now packed and one swig from the vial while my sisters watched. Everything swirled before my eyes in a fizz of lights and I fell away into oblivion. And there I was, alive again, after 2 days dead. It was stifling and I pulled the cloth away from my mouth and breathed. All I could hear was my heartbeat, and I remember thinking, what if I suffocate before they arrive? How embarrassing would that be if I failed to rise on command? Or what if while I'd been in the coma, there'd been an earthquake, or you'd been arrested or executed, and no one knew I was alive? I'd slowly die there, grasping, hungry, and thirsty, walled up inside the tomb. My fingers bloody stumps from futile scratching. And just as I was resigning myself to the worst, the stone suddenly grated aside. Light poured in and I heard your voice.
Lazarus, come forth.
And I did, more grateful than I have ever been in my entire life. If you're talking miracles, Lord, that one was for me. Resurrected from the darkness to the light, to sound and people. Magic.
The villagers who'd been at the funeral only 2 days before were amazed as he walked from the tomb alive. Everyone agreed that it was a miracle that only Messiah could have performed.
I'm grateful to you and your sisters for all the trouble you went to, Lazarus. But I didn't ask for any of these wonderful inventions, and there are to be no more of them. The publicity may have boosted my popularity, but it is mostly those looking for cures or thrill seekers, not serious repenters. Miracles attract their wrong soul.
And I've promised to stop converting them. But you must admit that Lazarus' resurrection was a masterpiece of planning and timing.
Indeed. Which makes it even more extraordinary that the brain which arranged such a scheme should belong to the same individual who gave away all our money to a beggar.
I had to.
You knew perfectly where I promised the Madeleine for Passover. Where is your lodging? By your kind charity, you have profited 1 and beggar 30.
Well, I'm glad you're broke, Lord, because now you can't refuse my offer to pay for the wine.
Oh, Lazarus, you're daft again.
there's nothing to do but accept. And the best wine it shall be. There's a wonderful vintner on the other side of the village. You stay. You shouldn't be seen until you leave the city. I'll get a couple of boys to carry the flagons. Back soon.
So, today, of all days, we are suddenly stony broke.
I'm sorry, master. Bartmius was threatening to expose you. I had to protect your name.
Me? What? What is it got to do? What's it got to do with me? You are the one who created the ridiculous situation. What have I do with this miracles apart from the ultimate one of changing the heart and founding the kingdom of heaven here on the earth?
I'm sorry, master.
Wow, it cannot be hard. I know you meant well, Judas, but from now I am asking you to follow my orders and do everything I ask.
Of course.
Agree?
I already do everything you tell me. When have I not?
I have been looking for a chance to speak to you alone. There's something I want you to do. The man, expect along for the Passover feast. If you do as I ask, we should easily afford one.
Do you want me to borrow money from Joseph of Arimathea?
We don't borrow, we receive. But in this case only, we sell.
We have nothing of value, master. All we have are the clothes we are standing in.
We do have something which might fetch a reasonable price.
What, master?
Me.
You? What do you mean?
When we get to Jerusalem, I want you to go to the temple priests and offer to betray me. They should pay a reasonable sum.
You're joking, right?
I'm serious. You will hand me over to them.
Have you gone mad? Why should I do such a thing? The priests hate you. You threaten their authority. They want rid of you. Remember the reaction of Lazarus' resurrection. We just got out of Bethany in the time before the temple police arrived to bring you in for a questioning. Thank God Joseph of Arimathea warned us they were on the way. Just as we are on the eve of the kingdom, after all your preaching, all your followers you've gained, why should you pull such a suicidal stunt and doom the movement to the failure?
Trust me, I threw out the whole thing out. Far from damning the mission, handing me over to them will result in our success.
How do you work that one out?
The Sanhedrin are eager to bring me in for interrogation. It's true, but they wouldn't arrest me in the streets when I'm surrounded by followers for fear of sparking a riot they would find difficult explaining to the robbers. But if they had the chance to seize me in some unguarded place, they would jump at it.
This doesn't sound like success to me.
Listen. Have you heard of that Passover amnesty?
No?
No.
What is that?
It's a special concession the Romans have granted the Jews. A prisoner of a popular choice can be released to the people on the day of Passover. The release is made at the praetorium. And who else would that popular prisoner then make?
Master,
Can't you just see, Judas? When news get around that I have been arrested, all my followers will rush for the praetorium to raise their voices and demand my release. And on that day, their demand cannot be refused by law. I will be freed by the will of part of the people. And the message of the kingdom will be on the lips of every man in Jerusalem.
I can see triumphant hallelujahs echo in the air as they carry you down the steps away from your captors, shoulder high to victory through the jubilant crowd.
The kingdom of heaven is here.
But at the same time, I see the risk of injury while in the police custody. They are sadistic pigs. Please reconsider the law. Think about it.
I'm resolute, Judas. When we get to Jerusalem, you will go to the temple, seize all the officials and come to an arrangement. Try to get a good price. I need hardly say that this matter is strictly between you and me. The man must have to know in.
You can trust me with the secret law. How much do the brothers know about your miracles? Nothing.
That's true. They actually believe I cured Bartimaeus and resurrected Lazarus, don't they? Better to keep them ignorant rather than confuse them with the facts. They are simple, trusting Zeus, and I love them. You are quite a different kettle of fish, isn't it, Judas? That's why I choose you for this mission. You have a cool head on your shoulders, and you are willing.
But they'll think I'm a real traitor if I hand you over the authorities and hate.
Not for long. When I'm released, I will tell them you were merely following orders, and you will admire and respect you. In the meantime, how's the blood?
My lips are sealed.
I'm glad I choose you as my last disciple, Judas. You have proved both useful.
Mary.
Oh.
But don't sit
Sorry.
down because you're going to be in and out. Is there another script? Should you just...
This is two. Do we have? No. Sorry.
Can I enter once again?
Yes. My lips are sealed. I'm glad. I choose you as my last disciple, Judas. You have proved most useful.
Sorry to disturb. There's a young man downstairs who wants to see the master.
I thought we agreed no visitors.
I told him, but he was so crestfallen. Said he'd been searching for months. There's something strange about him. He's dressed like a beggar, but his voice is cultured.
I'll go and back him. God, this place is more like a caravanserai than a secret hideout.
Not so secret. The whole village knows you're here. They're planning a big send-off. Another of your lightning visits. Always on the move. You stay for lunch, please.
If it's ready before your transport arrives, the men are keen to get started. Their hopes are high.
And yours? Are you excited?
The idea of the kingdom has caught on. Crows came out and or last two. We have made contacts in Jerusalem to a bridge merchant is putting us up for Passover.
So I've heard. Congratulations.
It's the culmination of the mission. Passover in the holy city. Time for the harvest.
It's not this spring. You're brave or mad. You know, this is the first time we've actually been alone together. You've always surrounded.
Except when I pray. I pray alone.
What else do you do alone?
Prep and see and sleep, I suppose. And die eventually.
I'm bored to death here in Bethany. There's nothing to do. Or rather, there's lots to do, but it's all boring. Fetching water and firewood, feeding the animals, washing the clothes, grinding the corn, making the food, weaving, stitching, and mending. It reminds me why I ran away in the first place. I love Lazarus and Martha, but we're not really on the same wavelength. I'm beginning to wish you hadn't brought me home.
You asked us to. Bethany was on our way, so it was not a big deal.
Of course, it's better now our bastard father's gone. Maybe it's because it's such a change in my lifestyle, from glamour and excitement to dull and dreary.
Do you miss your former life?
God, no, it was false. False feelings, false friends, false fun, false everything. Selfish, greedy, vain, conniving in corruption without a thought for the poor and oppressed. You locked me up and saved my life, literally. Those pearly-minded Pharisees had been watching my place for weeks before they decided to break in and drag me out, that screaming adulteress, pulling me through the streets by my hair, as we gathered stones along the way, dumping at me at the feet of you and your men, awaiting your agreement to my execution. Please say them again, the words you told them then, the cleverest riddles ever.
Brilliant. Him who is without sin cast the first stone.
Wow, hypocrites. They slunk away with their tails between their legs defeated. Could anyone in the world cast the first stone except you, perhaps? Are you serious?
I have never claimed to be.
You tried to be better. That's enough. And you certainly seem to be sinless. There are no visible signs of greed or pride or wrath about you. What about lust? Do you know how hard it is for a man to resist a woman when she deliberately uses her charms to get what she wants?
Let us not into temptation.
You've heard of how the Princess Salome danced before King Herod and won the head of John the Baptist?
Unfortunately, yes.
They say she stripped as she danced. 7 silken veils, clasped and tossed aside like petals, until she stood that way. As she danced that night, young Princess Salome, expert at her charms, beguiling, bewitching, seductive, and aiming all at the infatuated king, cast off her 7 veils, much as you have cast off 7 deadly sins of the spirit. Pride, wrath, envy, gluttony, avarice, lust.
Don't touch!
Congratulations. 7 out of 7. I can see the only time I'm likely to get my hands on your body is when it's laid out for your funeral. After Salome's dance, King Herod granted her wish. Would you not likewise grant mine?
What would you ask?
Let me come with you.
No, Mary. You must stay here with Martha and my mother. The city will be crowded and noisy, and there might be
I
trouble.
want to be with you. Why can't I do that stuff this cycle?
We had the full court. And of course, a woman visitor would be viewed with suspicion in this age and days.
Hypocrites. When the Pharisees asked if I should be stoned, you were quiet for a long time before you answered. You were writing something in the sand with your finger. What were you writing?
I drawing.
What?
A circle.
Why?
I don't know why. Why not?
Was it a circle that shut me out, or a circle that drew me in?
What is it?
I think I'm going to give you something nice for your entry into Jerusalem. You may not look much, but you're going to smell like 1,000,000 shekels. A surprise.
Lord, please settle an argument between me and Peter. He says you won't, but I say you will. Promise you'll let James and me sit on either side of you in judgment of the sinners when you're made king in Jerusalem. That would be so cool.
Have you not heard from me yet that those who exalt themselves shall be humbled, and those who are humble shall be exalted? Obviously not, if you can ask such a question. Sorry?
I wanted not to.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, the meek. Your request is just sheer pride and arrogance.
Okay. Sorry I asked.
Martha enters with a pot of cooked lentils, and the mother follows with a platter of bread.
Food connection!
Yes. Bring in Martha and mother. They place the bread and lentils on the floor in front of the men.
We wait for
So just carry the food, put it on the floor in front of them. They fill the men's cups with wine. Actually, how can they do that with no wine?
Too sad.
And you tie up to the side of the room, so you sit apart from the room. Just sit behind, yeah.
I'm too excited to eat. When are we leaving?
As soon as Thomas gets here with the donkeys.
Oh no, Lord, not a donkey. That's no way for the Messiah to enter the city. You should be seated on a fiery arrow charger, covered in victory.
Oh, the horse is a symbol of war. I come in peace. Besides, it is written in Zechariah. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, the King comes unto thee. He is just and having salvation, lowly and reading upon us, and upon all the fall upon us. The scriptures must be fulfilled.
Oh, which one do you intend to ride, Master? Which one do you intend to ride, Master? The ass or the foal? Or if the scriptures are to be fulfilled both at the same time?
Judas enters from the stairwell with Darius, a young man in beggar's rags. So, come from there. Seeing Jesus, he goes to him and kneels, taking, not you, Darius, runs to Jesus and takes his hand and kisses it.
Oh, stay up. No one shall be...
My lord, at last.
My lord, at last.
Stay up. No man should kneel to another.
Judas.
Who is it?
Right, Judas needs a script. Not much, but actually just for...
Okay. Here's a visitor. I couldn't bring myself to turn away. When you've heard his story, you'll know why.
I've done it, Lord.
Oh, it's good. What have you done?
Lord, I've done what you told me to. I sold all my possessions and gave the money to the poor. I've come to follow you. You've searched so long. Don't you recognize me? I must be different now without my fine clothes and jewels.
The rich young man. Could it be? You came to me after a sermon I gave in Galilee.
You remember? I asked you what I must do to ensure a place in heaven.
I told you to follow the commandments.
I always have.
Yes. And then one thing remains. Renounce your vows, sell all you have, give the money to the poor, and come and follow me.
I walked away. What you asked seemed utterly impossible.
And I used you as a perfect example of main obstacle. You see how difficult it is for a rich man to enter heaven. I announced to the crowd, it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of God.
I spent many days in troubled contemplation before casting all doubt aside and deciding to follow your advice. I freed my slaves, sold all my possessions and property, and distributed the money to the poor. My father cursed me for a fool and disowned me, but I didn't care. I left home to search for you, exchanging my garments with a beggar I met on the way. I'm richer now with nothing. I'm yours to command, Lord. Please say you'll accept me.
What is your name?
My name is Darius, Lord.
Welcome, Darius. Welcome. Observe that closely, brothers. This is a real miracle. The camel has passed through the eye of the needle. He is a true believer who has sacrificed more than any of us to gain eternal life. He is one who has humbled himself and is worthy to exaltation.
Thank God I've found you at last.
So you're so excited. Please, here, sit next to me and eat.
The men squat down and eat, dipping bread in the pot. Jesus feeds Darius with his own hand.
John.
That's my place, Lord.
always say that you're right.
Don't be jealous, John. Look at that Darius sacrifice for my sake. He has humbled himself completely. He deserves the place of honor.
Mary appears from the stairwell and approaches Jesus. Standing behind him, she breaks open a small flask of perfume and pours it over his head. John pushes her roughly aside.
What do you think you're doing?
That's expensive perfume, Mary. You'd have done better to sell it and give us the money.
Yeah, what a waste. If you know what I mean.
Leave her. By this action, Mary has fulfilled another of the prophecies. The word Messiah means the anointed one. She has made me that.
Anointed by a whore. It's an insult.
His name smelled like one too.
Thomas has arrived with the donkeys. James and John are seated on the ground, leaning against each other, asleep. Peter is also asleep. Darius sits crouched, his arms crossed, staring into space. Jesus enters and looks at the sleepers. Then at Darius. He crouches beside him and puts an arm around his shoulder.
Good, Darius.
No, Lord.
You are shivering. Take my cloak.
He takes off his coat and puts it around Darius.
No, Lord.
I don't need it. I feel hot. I can sweating blood.
Have you finished praying?
Not yet. I am in the middle of the tough one. And I needed a break. Look at this lot. I asked them to stay alive while I prayed, and I have hardly been gone and all.
They're exhausted, Lord. It's been a long day.
They are a bit disappointed too, aren't they, Jerris? There is. But they didn't quite live up their expectation. James and John had imagined me of king of Jerusalem by now, and they are very many followers. They are here to get us a thought.
But just think how many new followers you will have gained by your presence in the city. The word will spread.
Not quickly enough for James and John. They want the kingdom now, yesterday. Still, they may be in for a surprise. But you have not fallen asleep, Darius. Are you not tired also?
You asked us to watch with you, Lord.
You are a true disciple, Darius. Watch and pray with me that we enter not into temptation. The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak.
He kicks the men awake.
Wake up, you lords! Could you not watch with me for 1 hour?
He storms off. They awake in sleepy confusion.
That was the Lord.
Yes.
He was angry. We're supposed to be on lookout.
How could we let ourselves fall asleep? We're supposed to be gardening.
Who from? We're in a quiet little orchard outside the city walls, and it's dead of night. The pigs are hardly likely to come looking for him here. And let's face it, why should they? He's done nothing to pose a real challenge to you, apart from kicking over a few stalls in the temple courtyard. Hit and run. We ran. Why didn't he stay and face them? They might have done it. The confrontation to spark the flame, to light the torch, to signal the dawning of the new world.
Don't fall asleep, you slut. Do you remember he said we would all fall away from him tonight? For it has been written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered.
Yeah, another quote from the scriptures. Very convenient, aren't they? To keep us sheep in awe. I tell you, more and more I'm losing my awe.
I know what you mean. Take tonight's supper, for instance, apart from no lamb, as promised.
I'm starving.
Me too, but the whole occasion was way over my head. He's getting too symbolic. What was all that washing our feet at the beginning of the meal?
He was giving us an example of how we should humble ourselves to each other.
Well, I find it embarrassing and confusing too. What kind of a Lord is it who bases himself like that?
And stuff with bread and wine, saying it was his body and blood, and that we were eating and drinking him like cannibals.
Gross! Trying to make the meal special to compensate for the lack of lamb.
Be grateful we had something to eat. If he could hear you talking.
Let him. We've come all this way together. I've as much right to speak my mind as anyone else. He's on the defensive. What was all that about one of us going to betray him?
Yeah, like everybody gets suspicious all of a sudden.
Me too. Like, oh my God, suddenly a traitor in our midst.
Darius asks who, sitting in your place of honor, John, leaning his head on the Lord's breast.
Don't rub it in.
Could be any of us.
It could be me. If turncoat and traitor have the same meaning. I've had enough of sleeping under the stars with an empty belly for an empty dream. Nothing happened since I'm off back to Galilee. At least I know I've got a job waiting there.
It's Judas. When Darius asked who was going to betray him, the Lord said, "He it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it." And when he dipped it, he gave it to Judas. He looked embarrassed. The Lord said, "That thou dost do quickly." And Judas got up and went out.
I thought he was being sent to beg some scraps from Joseph of Arimathea's kitchen. Anyway, the master handed us all sops after that, so it could be anyone. My bet's on Mark. I've always thought he had a shifty look.
Well, let's not jump to conclusions. Whoever it is, I wouldn't like to be in his shoes. Woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed, he said. It'd have been good for that man if he'd not been born.
At least we know we're not the traitors. Maybe that's why he chose us as his guards, away from the others. Whatever this garden is safe enough. No one could find us here. I'm so tired.
Falls asleep.
John, can you not watch with me for 1 hour?
He leans against John and falls asleep.
I haven't heard a single cock crow yet.
He falls asleep. Darius remains awake, sitting upright and alert. Jesus enters.
Sleep on now and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand that the Son of Man is betrayed into the hand of sinners.
Peter, James, and John awake and rise to their feet.
Torches coming this way.
The police, look, it's Judas, he's leading them. Fly, Lord, fly. They're coming to arrest you.
Didn't we expect this all along? Stand firm, men.
He who turns and runs away lives to fight another day. Doesn't that make sense to you? Come on out. There's no time to waste. Lord!
Jesus stands resolute, awaiting the approach of Judas and the officers.
It makes sense to me, brother. Let's move it.
He runs away.
Lord! Lord! Don't be a fool! Run, brothers, run!
He runs away. Jesus, Darius, and Peter stand resolutely. Judas enters, followed by